morning or afternoon, I suppose, and welcome to the Comics Experience Graphic Novel of the Month Club for the month of April 2020. We're still in COVID lockdown for people in the future. This sucks, by the way. This COVID lockdown stuff is just awful. It's awful. But we can still read great comics. That's the great thing about being trapped at home. And this month's book, The Sunken Tower by Tait Howard, is that great book. And we are so lucky to have Tait here on video. Say hi, Tait.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
You froze. Your video froze up just at that moment,
Oh,
right when I
geez.
introduced you.
Hi, everyone. So now that I'm thinking about it, I think the first comics that I ever drew myself were some Kirby, the Nintendo character Kirby, like fan comics that I made when I was in grade school. And I would make them and photocopy them and then sell them to my relatives and to other classmates and stuff like that. So,
wow, you were like an entrepreneur at a young age. That's fantastic.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
that's fantastic. Yeah, no, anybody can make and sell a comic. That's one of the things that's great about it.
That's yeah, exactly what I was talking about. That's part of why I love it so much. And that part of it definitely came later when I realized this isn't something that you can only do when you're a kid. You can do this all the time. People will always want to buy little books from you or whatever.
Yeah. Did you continue to self-publish little comics and zines and things like that as you got older, or was that just a little phase?
Yeah, so I did that when I was younger, and then probably when I was in my late teens is when I started doing it again. So I was doing it in grade school, in first and second grade, I think, and then for probably like 5 or 6 years, I didn't do it as much. Just wasn't something that I was as interested in.
Maybe tell us a little bit about sort of the mechanical side of trying to build a whole world and pitch it and that side.
Right, totally. So Sunken Tower was kind of an interesting process because it was actually originally published by a company called Stila, who does digital only comics.
Interesting.
It's a phone and iPad app primarily. I think it may be online now, but I'm not sure. But either way, they approached me and said they were looking for someone to do a story for them. And the Sunken Tower was something that it wasn't like a fully fleshed out idea. Like it wasn't what it is now when I had thought of it originally. But they had basically said, hey, we like your work and we're interested in working with you. Do you have anything you want to pitch to us? So I said, yeah, let me think about what ideas I have right now that are that I want to pitch or that I want to turn into a pitch. And originally, the Sunken Tower was going to be about, it was going to focus almost entirely just on Dig, not on the two other main characters, Yana and Krina. And he was going to be kind of this like soldier, not like a soldier, but someone who would be part of the kind of retinue of an army. And he would be trapped alone in this kind of war-torn city, and it would be about him kind of navigating this war-torn city. And then it slowly turned into an idea to I thought, okay, what's a cool genre that I could like kind of mash up with the fantasy genre? And I thought like a prison break story would be really cool to do in a fantasy universe. Mm-hmm. So I pitched that, and they really liked it, and it kind of went from there. And then part of that deal was that I got to keep the book publishing rights to the story. So when the term and I can't remember the exact how long it was in the contract, but basically after some time was up, I took it to Oni and said, hey, I want to do this, but I want to add a whole bunch to the story. I want to redraw a lot of stuff. So basically the book version of it is a sort of redrawn version of the digital one that came out initially.
Interesting. Wow, I didn't know the whole digital part at all. That's
yeah.
What when was that?
So that was, I believe, 2014 or 15 was when it came out
Okay.
originally. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's, I think that's the only place that you can get the digital version of the book, just because they, kept the rights to the digital
Yeah.
copy or whatever. But
Yeah. Did uh what was I going to say? Was it a novella length or a novel length story, or was it shorter? Was it in chunks? How was it?
it so it came out as chapters.
Okay.
It was six chapters, and I think so. Basically, the biggest new part of it is everything up until like this page, the big opening page.
Mm-hmm.
All of the part in the market and everything before that is brand new. As well as I added just a couple pages to the end, I think, just to flesh out the ending. But basically, it was the same story. Uh, Yana and Krina's relationship was a little bit less developed. I kind of refer to it or think about it as like a first draft of the story,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. And uh, when you say you redrew it, did you literally redraw every page or just some of it?
So yeah, it was just some of it. Basically, it was a lot of kind of taking like, let me see if I can find a page here that's a good example. But uh, yeah, so like for this page where there's a big kind of flashback scene, initially this would just be like read on a phone, like it would just be one tall image. So basically, it was a lot of just taking panels that were already there and then cutting them up and putting them back together on page layouts in Photoshop.
Right, right, right.
And so a lot of the redrawing was like, oh, okay, I don't think this drawing is as good as it could be. Just redrawing some faces, and then just because there was like a 3-year time difference between the digital and the physical edition, and then adding panels just to better fit the story that I was trying to tell and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never encountered someone who's had a book done that way. That make it.
I know it's really interesting. I think Jen Bartel has a book that she did. I can't remember the name of it. That was the same thing where it came out on phones originally, and then I think it was called Crystal Fighters. Yeah, there were a whole bunch of people in that first wave of Stila artists who all ended up doing the same kind of thing, basically.
Yeah. When you this actually brings up an interesting question, because if it was more designed for mobile, how did you think about your page composition and things like that differently than you would for a print publication?
I did, yeah, definitely. It was kind of cool actually, just to work in a little bit of a different format. There's a couple panels in here, like some really tall panels in like this part initially at the end was one giant long panel where you sort
Right.
of followed the creature falling down the well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it was cool because I got a chance to do some kind of weird layout stuff that I never would be able to do on a page, because I could have like a 3-foot tall panel if I wanted to. This one as well, the big tall one. That was even taller originally, and you'd have to scroll so you couldn't see the whole image at once. So yeah, it was definitely a very different process, writing and drawing for that kind of format, and also thinking about like, okay, people are going to read this on a phone, so I can't have like 4 panels next to each other, because then each panel will be like that big.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When you were, I don't know if readapting it might be the right word
Yeah, I feel like
for the
that's
print
right. Yeah.
page. Were there any particular challenges to, pacing and because a lot of comics are about rhythm, about the beat
Oh,
of the
totally.
page,
Yeah.
right? And so moving it from one to another, how was that a hard process, an easy process? I don't know.
It was I would say a pretty easy process. I feel like because my strategy was to kind of I went through the whole thing as it was digitally, or as it was written and drawn originally, and kind of went through and went, okay, like what jokes in here can be kind of stretched out, or not stretched out, but what jokes can be made to work better if I put it on a page and stuff like that. So I think the most challenging part of it was all of the parts where I didn't have a really specific idea, and I was kind of like, okay, well, these images need to go on this page here, but how do I do that? How do I, where do I cut them off? Where do I add to it, and things like that? So it was kind of a mixed bag. It was a really fun process, actually, just because it was kind of, totally new and unique, not something that I'm normally doing when I make comics.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.